for which he should be prosecuted. He lied to Congress under oath. He is a weak and untruthful slimeball who was, as time has proven, a terrible director of the FBI. His handling of the crooked Hillary Clinton case and the events surrounding it will go down as one of the worst botched jobs of history. It was my great honor to fire James Comey. Joining me now, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, who is a member of the House Oversight Committee. Jim, I'm so glad to have you on the show. I love that you don't wear a blazer. That's kind of your trademark look, like my pop collar. Are your sleeves rolled up to your elbows? Can I see your? Can I see your arms?
They're not right. They're not
okay.
right now.
I mean, come on, seriously, you're going to come into Water's World with your sleeves not rolled up?
Well, I should. I should. Next time I will.
All right. So, what do you make of this book, first of all, and then we'll talk about the Cohen raid?
Yeah, there's no better definition of the swamp than this whole deal. So think about it. Rod Rosenstein writes the memo on why Mr. Comey should be fired. Mr. Comey's fired. He leaks a document to the New York Times to create momentum for Bob Mueller to be named the special counsel. Rod Rosenstein names Bob Mueller special counsel and is overseeing that. And guess what? One of the issues they're supposed to be looking at. Was it obstruction of justice in the firing of Comey? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So the American people step back and say, if that's not the swamp,
right,
this roundabout thing they got going, I do not know what
you
is.
need
so
a
that's
Karl Rove whiteboard in order to connect all the dots. I mean, he personally signed off on the surveillance of the Trump campaign, knowing it was based on a fake dossier. And then he's basically the one that wrote the memo to fire Comey, and then he's overseeing the investigation into the firing of James Comey, whether that is obstruction. Then signs off on the raid on President Trump's personal lawyer. So to the raid itself.
Yeah, and you pointed this out, Jesse. The contrast between what they did with Secretary Clinton. I had Secretary Clinton in the Benghazi committee under oath during that hearing, and I asked her a simple question. I said, would you agree to allow a neutral third party, like a retired federal judge, to examine all the emails you have? Remember, she had them all. She had her personal ones and all the ones that belong to the taxpayers and the government and ones we were supposed to be able to see. I said, would you agree to that? Of course, she wouldn't, and they got an even better deal. They got the deal where it was basically the FBI, James Comey's FBI, who called up Cheryl Mills and said, hey, Cheryl, when do you want us to come over and we'll pick up the ones that you want to give to us after you've done the sort on the front end? Now, think about this.
They got such a sweetheart deal, those people.
If President Trump would take the deal with the federal judge today in a heartbeat based on what they did earlier this week, where they just come in and grabbed everything Michael Cohen
had. And Michael Cohen had been cooperating. He had offered thousands, almost a million documents. They raid his home. Hillary bleaches her server, and they interview her not under oath and let her off with a slap on the wrist, basically scot-free. So you understand why people think the swamp is rigged. You understand why people think the president's being persecuted, and there's rules for different people if you're an insider or an outsider.
And that's the biggest thing, Jesse, that double standard. That's what drives everyone crazy. There's one set of rules for us regular folk, but if you're Clinton, Comey, Lynch, and or Lois Lerner, for goodness sake, you get a special deal. Nothing ticks people off more than that. That's what's got to change.
Listen to Comey write about his decision to reopen the Clinton email investigation pretty close to the election. Remember, they found a bunch of stuff on the laptop of Anthony Weiner. He says this: it is entirely possible that because I was making decisions in an environment where Hillary Clinton was sure to be the next president, my concern about making her an illegitimate president by concealing the restarted investigation bore greater weight than it would have if the election appeared closer or if Donald Trump were ahead in all the polls, but I don't know. What that tells me is he's a political animal here. He's not shooting straight. He waited. I think they waited like a month, in between when they found these emails and by the time they announced it publicly. He's already assuming Hillary's going to win, and he's conducting an investigation in a public way to, I believe, affect the post-presidency or post-election of Hillary Clinton, except the fact the polls were wrong.
Right. No, it's obvious the reason he released that wasn't to do harm to the Clinton campaign. He thought she was going to win. And Jesse,
he was trying to help her legacy.
Yeah, so did everyone else in the country, right? Except the American people had a different design on what should be best for this great nation. But he did it only because he said she's going to win anyway. I criticized him at the time. I was one of the few Republicans who criticized James Comey in October. I said he was wrong from the get-go. He was wrong in July when he went and did his big press conference and said they weren't going to bring charges against her. He was wrong in October when he reopened the case. He was wrong completely through this. And I took some heat from some Republicans when I said that in October. But the only reason he did it is because he thought she was going to win, and his statement just confirms that.
He does, and we talked about it also earlier up top. The fact that he's, writing about this dossier and having it be talked about in a way that's unverified and very salacious, and I don't know if that happened in that hotel room. That was the crux of the FISA warrant application to surveil the Trump campaign. So if you don't know if it's true or not, you're not supposed to offer it to the judge.
No,
he basically sank his own case right there. He's not a smart man.
Yeah, no, you're right. They led with that in front of the FISA court, and they didn't tell the court two important facts. One, they didn't tell them who paid for it, the Clinton campaign. And second, in the subsequent renewals of that FISA application, based on the dossier, they didn't tell him the author of the dossier, Christopher Steele, his relationship with the FBI was terminated because Steele broke a cardinal rule. He was leaking information to the press.
Yeah, the central source or witness in this thing had already leaked and then lied to the FBI about it, yet they kept using him as a credible source to the judge. All right, Congressman, listen, next time you come on Water's World, I expect the sleeves to be rolled up. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care, Jesse.
Is it the White House press corps or the press circus? We'll